Before we begin, can we get everyone to come down into these front few rows? We're gonna have a little bit of a more informal meeting this evening. Thank you, folks, and welcome to our community meeting this evening. My name is Thomas Pence. I'm a public information officer here with Great Basin Team 3. Please hold any questions you do have until the end. Even though this is a little bit more informal style, we do want to hold this meeting to about an hour and give you an opportunity to speak and everyone here to speak. So we will have an open question period at the end, but we are going to be sitting here a little bit closer to you guys. Before we begin, we're currently at 73,721 acres. It's at 95% contained, and we have 353 people working on this fire. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Dan with the weather.
Good evening, everyone. This is Dave Munyon here, incident meteorologist trainee on the Monroe Canyon fire. So I'm a meteorologist. I'm with the National Weather Service, and I'm an on-site meteorologist here, providing weather information to everyone that's on the fire, supporting their operations. Sometimes the weather is a little less cooperative with our operations on the fire. We saw that earlier, I guess if today's Saturday, earlier this week with some of the rainfall that we had. That has all since moved on. Much drier conditions have set in. So that should help for the remaining efforts that we're going to be conducting here. Yes, it will be a little bit drier. You know, there's not really a whole lot of concern on the additional fire front, which is good because mostly our winds are going to be a little bit lighter. If anyone has been kind of keeping up to date with the risks associated with weather and specifically heavy rainfall that can occur after a recent burn, the coined debris flow. You know, we've been talking about the risks of those. Fortunately, we didn't get a lot of rainfall this past week. That risk will still be there for future rainfalls that occur, especially if they're, you know, particularly heavy. The remainder of the monsoon season is, you know, not very long, which is good. You know, of course, as we get into winter and snow falls, got to be concerned once that starts to melt, especially in those vulnerable canyons, specifically Monroe Canyon, I believe Dry Canyon, and then Water Canyon as well are three of the most vulnerable spots to get some problematic areas. So, you know, we're on the tail end of this, especially on the weather side. Nothing really concerning on that front. So with that, everyone, thank you for coming out. Have a great evening, and we'll pass it to Dan for operations.
Good evening. So just like Dave was saying, with the weather's, helped us tremendously on the fire behavior, slowing that fire down, allowing us to get our crews in there to be able to work diligently to get you guys in there to repopulate your private in holdings. With that, the weather's been testing us. And when I say it's been testing us, in a couple good places. One, with the moisture that we have received, we haven't seen any debris flows, but that moisture that we've received has really moderated the heat. Any areas that we had any potential fire that was remaining, I'm not saying it's all gone, but there's still some interior heats that could be down in the stumps and the heavier fuels. But along the fire perimeter, we haven't seen any smokes for over a week now, and that rain has really helped on that. And it's helped our crews with that. So we've been able to focus on the hazard trees, and the hazard trees along all the main corridors, along around the private in holdings. That's our goal, is try to we'll never eliminate all the hazards, but mitigate. We're trying to reduce the amount of hazards that are in there that could be around your guys' properties and the roads traveling in and out. And it's only along those corridors. It's not interior. It's not on the it's not going to be further in the fire. It's just around, the private properties. So we're doing everything we can so we can facilitate this, that, you can get to your homes or to your cabins or to your properties with that. On the map behind me, just show you just real quick. You can see we're getting a lot more green areas in here. That's where we've been working with the repair on the dozer line, repair on the hand line. So we got excavators in there. We've got, a lot of manpower, people by hand moving the debris, consolidating the lines, covering stuff back up, a lot of seeding. Working really close with the resource advisors, making sure that we are putting stuff back the way we can as much as we to normal. Okay, the new normal. I can't say it's going to be the normal, but the new normal with that. One of the other things with that is, the priority, travel routes. You guys going in, up onto the mountain and everything. The sheriff will talk about, the repopulation of the in holdings. But that's our concern. We want to make sure that we're leaving a good product, but B, we're trying to reduce as many of the hazards as we can, and we're finding new ones every day. And that's one of those challenges with the weather. We can go through an area and we're like, hey, this looks really good. We come back the next day because we had a little moisture and we got another tree that's fallen over, or we have another tree that's across the road. And so we go back and we cut those out again. Hey, it's looking good. And we come around the corner again, got another one. So we're trying to do as much as we can. The ground's unstable in a lot of areas. The vegetation that was below those trees, it's gone. The root systems have been burned up. So with the wind, the moisture, can change a lot of things for us. But we're doing the best we can with that. One of the other things is just with all the manpower that's in there. We sat down and calculated how much manpower we've put into this. It's incredible. I think and I'll just show this out as a ballpark, but at one time there was over close to 1,000 people, 1,500 on this fire. So you figure 1,500 people, 16 hours a day, that's a lot of man hour, a lot of exposure. And with those exposures, we've had very little, incident, safety where people have gotten injured. Okay. And that's the same thing. We want to be able to transfer that same thing to everyone else, making sure that everyone's going in and it's safe for you guys too. Okay. So a lot of man hours have been put in there, a lot of heavy equipment. One of the things on Tuesday, if you're going to be one of those properties going in, we're still going to have heavy equipment in there. So I just ask for your guys' patience. If you happen to come up and it might take you, an hour to have to wait there, that's because we're trying to move the equipment out of the way so we can get you through. So just be patient with us. We're trying to do the best we can to make sure we're out of your way so you guys can get to your property, but you might run into a piece of equipment here or there. So work with us. We're trying our best to work with you guys, make sure that happens. We don't want to rush anything, because if we rush something, we're going to miss something, and we don't want to miss anything and then have something catastrophically happen. So thank you.
All right. So I guess that's the biggest thing, is getting people into their homes or into their properties. Two quick things. So we're anticipating Monroe and Manning Meadows. Anticipating, and the reason why I say anticipating, as long as things don't change, we're going to be able to open that up Tuesday. So Tuesday morning, you can come into the sheriff's office and get the placards for your properties there. Make sure you have your parcel number so we can get that. So that is the big thing. We really want everybody to understand and know that we haven't been able to, or the team hasn't been able to get every risk out. So just because they've got some, been able to identify some, there still may be some there. So realize and understand that. And again, the same thing, watch for the equipment. They may be up and down there. The other day, we had to let some people know, hey, hold off for a minute. We got a truck stuck in the middle of the road. So because of the bad roads and the clay, you guys all know where that is. We had to tell everybody, hold off for a couple hours. So, by being able to do that and the close communication we're doing, we're able to get that out to you guys as quick as we can. The other thing that I want to make sure that we really stress make sure that you go to your property and stay on your property. Don't be winding up on other people's property or in an area that's not yours. We've, Bill's talked about it. We've all talked about it. Placards are color coded to your area. And then also at the same time, make sure you go up the right road. You know, we don't want you to having to go across from Manning Meadow all the way over to Big Lake. So stick on the right road that you're told to go on. That way we can plan around the equipment. That's the idea, is we're trying to minimize the impact and interference we have with them. So hopefully everybody's doing okay. We're in a good spot. I really appreciate the good communication we've had with this team and all the teams. They've really worked closely with us, and especially when we have those one-off incidents where we got to figure something out, we're able to work it through. So it's been a good deal. So outside of that, I'll be around to help answer any questions, and we'll just keep this rolling.
Thanks, Sheriff. I'm Vance Mumford with the Utah Division of Wildlife. Just a couple things. These rains that we've received the past week or two, sure they've helped with the fire, but they've also given a drink to our vegetation on the mountain that didn't get burned, and that's going to revitalize that and provide good nutrition for our wildlife, as well as giving the live roots underneath that ash something to drink and something to push them up through there to stimulate that vegetation growth. So another thing, our director's office met a few days ago and discussed the permit surrender process regarding the upcoming big game hunts. They did extend the special surrender rules to one group of hunters, those with our limited entry antlerless elk permits that begin October 4th. They decided to let those folks, up until the day before the hunt starts, they can surrender their permit, get their points reinstated if they would like, or if they would like, they can keep their permit and hunt with it. And everything else is the same as in previous announcements. So keep in mind, our general season any weapon deer hunters, our muzzleloader elk hunters, our limited entry deer hunters that come in November, just the regular permit surrender process happens with those. And so that's a 30-day before the hunt starts, you can surrender your permit, but you do not gain a preference point or bonus. Bring that in for this year. So keep that in mind. Go back to our website if you have any questions, or you can call one of our regional offices. But we'd like to thank all the efforts of everybody in rehabilitating the range, what's going on, and we look forward to working with everybody to reseed the mountain this fall and hopefully make everything grow again. So thanks.
Good evening, folks. Mike Melton, Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands. I'm one of the agency administrators assigned to the fire, and what we do is we look at the situation and we ask the team to do what the agencies figure that need to be done. And I want to tell you that these guys are doing a great job with attention to detail. Okay. We don't want things slipping through the cracks after they go away. We want this project to be completed the best of our abilities and make it safe for you folks. That being said, there's still an awful lot of risk out there. And I know you've heard this over and over and over again. And I talked about it last time we met. But it's a for real thing. So be aware. One thing that you might say or might want to think about, and Dan from operations, he spoke to this a number of different times, is go around the corner, there's another tree down. So throw your chainsaw in your vehicle when you go up there. It might come in handy. Okay. So there's something there. Road grading is going to start happening here in a while once the conditions are right for that. And so there's a little, possibility of some delays on the roads and everything. But the plan is a good, sound plan that the sheriff has come up with for the repopulation, that the team is working to sequence these things to try and avoid these different confrontations that can occur on the road. So be patient with us. We appreciate you. And thanks much.
Hi, the agency administrator for the U.S. Forest Service, and it's nice to be here tonight. I have already acknowledged this is a great partnership between federal, state, and local agencies to you onto the forest and into your private properties as soon as possible. We are as the forest closure so that you can get back into the forest and enjoy the things that you love to do. We're still continuing to get the hazards out of the road and get the roads cleared and graded. And we still currently have about 300 personnel working on the fire. So, just wanted to acknowledge the hard, the people really working in the forest to get it up to par, to get out there. And community and the patience that you have all exemplified throughout this process. And we know be up out to try to get out there as soon as you can again and enjoy it in a safe manner. So thanks for your patience.
Good evening, Brett Waters, IC Great Basin Team 3, and thanks for coming out on the holiday weekend. That's that's really nice. The we've got a little more work to do, and we're going to stay until we can get things pretty well accomplished. And our glide path is we believe we will have most of that work done by Friday this coming. So you might see a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not the train that's coming through the tunnel. So I think we're in a great spot there. I mean, Sevier County's going to continue to work on the roads and take care of those. This is going to be a long-term event, dealing with the snags that are going to keep coming down. Hope we just really knock on wood. We hope that we don't get a big gully washer of rain, because that's going to really create a mess. And so I'm actually pretty pleased that we're not going to get any more rain while we're here. So we've got some water tenders, and we will, how do you grade a road? A little moisture, you can do a lot better job with it. So we're going to be able to do that and control that amount of water. So we're, again, it's been mentioned, and I mentioned it, I think, when the first time we were here, that those fire weakened trees, those snags, they're going to be there for a really long time, and they're really dangerous. So all of the agencies are working to cut those snags down, as many as they can, which we look as significant hazard trees. You're having that done around your private property as well as the main access roads, but it's going to be long term. You're going up there snowmobiling this winter, you're going to want a little solid, yeah. That's just going to, or hopefully there's 4 or 5 or 6 feet of snow, which would even be better, So that's, but that's just going to be a constant. You're going to have some firewood though, so that's the positive out of it. Is it's a little dirty to burn, but it still works. So there's a couple of positives there, but we are on task. We've got about 90% of the fire damage suppression repair done, and 95% contained. And where we're shooting, and I think we're heading that direction, is that by next Friday we'll have you in really good shape. Working with the sheriff and the repopulation, it's been very strategic and planned so that we can finish our jobs. You guys can get in there safe. You're not going to have a tree come down on your car, on your UTV. So again, appreciate the invite back. We got to start it, and we're really hoping we get to finish it, and we'll put you guys in pretty good shape. So appreciate the cooperation and the support again. Community has absolutely been fantastic. Thanks.
All right, so that concludes our speakers. We're going to open it up to you guys for some questions. Please wait until you do get a microphone so anyone online can hear you. With that, we'll turn it over to you.
How much rain was up there yesterday in different locations? Were you able to have some measurements?
Yeah, so across in relevance to the perimeter itself, the southern and eastern side definitely saw a little bit more rain. So basically the Kusharam side, well, that's future rain, so that won't provide much. But yeah, so about, anywhere from around quarter of an inch to 3/10 is, what we saw yesterday. And the good thing about the rain that we did get yesterday morning was it was light at in intensity, and it was spread out over a fair amount of time. So, what I'm really concerned about, for future rainfalls is when you get a lot in a short amount of time. So those heavy rainfalls that you can get from a thunderstorm. So, that's almost as good of a scenario as we could have asked for. So it's enough to, wet the soils and, help out some of the plants and the vegetation regrowth. It may have impacted some operational efforts, of course, but it's not debris flow inducing or flash flood inducing. So, the western and the northern side saw, a little bit less kind of shaded from the terrain in the mountains, but yeah, about 2 to 3/10 of rain.
Thank you. Next question.
So will there be restrictions on hunter access for how long?
The Forest Service, I believe, is going to update their closure map in the near future, and so that's really going to determine where a hunter can hunt on the Forest Service managed land. Private lands are a different issue, right? And I'm not sure how the sheriff's office is going to handle people that drive on into the closed area to access their private land. And so maybe I'll put Nate on the spot there to answer that. But yeah, but we encourage any hunters to honor and respect any closures on that property, and it will be a violation if you're where you're not supposed to.
Okay, so I'm the Secretary Treasurer of the Long Flat Property Owners Association. We have about 840 acres owned by 33 individuals or LLCs or whatever. So we have hunting by permission only. We have an application that we take, and I'm thinking about putting on that now. I've got several to sign that says subject to road closures.
That may be the best way. The other thing I would encourage you to do, if it's safe to do, this was brought up by several private landowners, your no trespassing signs may have burned up, right? And so in our emails to our hunters and on our website, we're going to make sure people know that they are still required to respect private property. But if it's safe to do that, you may want to check your have posted signs on the property. But here, if you want to.
So normally I'd say, give me a minute to think about this, but so that's why the placards, we're only giving them to property owners. We're not giving them to anybody. Say if you have a friend or a neighbor and we're only opening it up to you guys, the property owners. Now, if the Forest Service changes that, that's up to them, and then we'll go from there. But we still have a lot of people working on the forest. So that's the big risk you take. If we got an extra 300 extra bodies out there, 300 to 400 people working in machinery, doing whatever, they're not going to hear that you're out there hunting or shooting. So you got to be extra cautious about that. So just don't leave your private property. There's not a lot I can tell you can't do. Just don't break the law, right? So stick to your property. We don't want just everybody having a mass, huge family reunion up there and everybody going hunting on your 20-acre piece. It gets really crowded. I will say there are a couple of bucks up there. I did see a couple small 2 points above Kashurum yesterday. They were inside the forest boundary, so how about that?
So just, it's kind of weird having her hold it for me. So, um, so on the closure, Forest Service closure. So I anticipate, this next weekend, IC talked about, wrapping up the majority of this repair work by Friday. So I'm anticipating the closure area that we see on the map behind shrinking, at minimum shrinking. Um, and at some point, and we'll coordinate this with the state and the sheriff, but at some point we'll just lift it entirely. I don't know exactly when that's going to happen yet. It could happen as early as this weekend as well. But if we don't lift it entirely, then we're at least going to shrink it, and it'll get quite a bit smaller than what it is now.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, with that, we're going to conclude the online portion of this meeting. If you have any additional questions, please find one of us down here and we'd be happy to answer them. With that, our next meeting will be Wednesday in the same room at 7:30. Thank you.